Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Alia Maisara binti Shamsuddin. My metric number is 298433. So we are from group 12. Choose human right protection, achievement and limitation as our topics. So I will start with the introduction to human rights. Human rights are the basic rights and freedoms every person has implied because they are human. These rights apply to everyone, no matter their race, religion, nationality, age and background. They include important freedoms like right to life, freedom of speech, the right of education, the right of work, and the right to be treated fairly. This right cannot be taken away without a valid legal reason. In Malaysia, human rights are mainly reflected in Article 5 to 13 of the Federal Constitution. These are known as the fundamental liberties. The Constitution is the supreme law of country. This means it protects basic rights for all individuals equally, regardless of race, religion, or culture. Because Malaysia has multicultural society, protecting this right help maintain harmony, reduce conflict, and build trust among different groups. Malaysia also shows its commitments to human rights through the creation of SWACAM, which stands for Human Rights Commission of Malaysia. It is to monitor human rights issues in Malaysia and educate people about human rights. For example, if there are reports of police misconduct, discrimination, or unfair treatment of refugees, SWACAM can investigate and give recommendations to the authorities. Although Malaysia's constitution provides strong protection, some challenges still exist. Rights such as freedom of speech, peacefully assembly, and religion can be restricted through the certain law. The next part is the main principle of human rights. First, indivisibility. Indivisibility means human rights cannot be separated. All rights are equally important and connected. For example, if a child is denied the right to education, it can affect their future job opportunities, which then affect their right to a decent standard of living. Means that one right affect the others. Second one is equality and non-discrimination. Every person is equal in dignity and rights. No one should be discriminated against based on race, religion, gender, language, disability, or any other status. The third one is participation and inclusion. Everyone has the right to take part in decisions that affect their life. For example, local communities should be consulted before a new development project is put in their area. Women, youth, minority, indigenous group must also have equal chance to speak and participate. The next part is fundamental liberties. There are three main fundamental liberties in human rights. First is Article 5, right to life and personal liberties. Article 5 protects a person's life and freedoms. For example, if police detain someone without telling them the reason, or keep them more than 24 hours without bringing them to court, this violates Article 5. In Article 6, freedom from slavery and forced labor, no one can be held as a slave or forced work against their wills. For example, if an employer confiscates a foreign worker's passport and forces them to work long hours without paying, that is considered forced labor. And in Article 7, no retrospective law and double jeopardy means you cannot be punished for something that was not illegal at that time, and you also cannot be tried twice for the same offense. Finally, I will discuss about two main theories. First is legal right theory. This theory says a right can only be enforced if it is recognized by law. For example, even if we morally believe everyone should have freedom of speech, it only becomes enforceable when the Constitution legally guarantees that freedom. The second one is natural rights theories. This theory says rights comes naturally to all humans, not from the governments. They exist because humans' dignity. For example, the rights to life exist even without any law. Malaysia reflects this idea through Article 5, which turns that natural rights into a legal guarantees. So that's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hello and Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Amni binti Muhammad Kili. My metric number is 301137. Today I will be presenting an analysis of Malaysia's achievement in human rights protection as well as the limitation that still exists. First of all, the main foundation of human rights protection in Malaysia is the Federal Constitution. It is the highest law in the country and guarantees fundamental right to the people. For example, Article 5 protects the right to life and personal liberty. Anyone who is arrested must be brought before a court within 24 hours, which is reflect the principle of habeas corpus. This helps to prevent arbitrary detentions. In addition, Article 8 states that everyone is equal before the law. However, there are still certain exceptions, such as special provisions for Bumi Putera and religious law. This exception show that Malaysia practice fairness based on the social contract agreed upon during the formations of the nations. Next, the role of the judiciary and judicial activism is also important in protecting human rights. Today, courts are seen as more open and fair, and they do not only interpret the law literally. Under Article 5.1, the law must not only be written but also fair and reasonable. The right to life now includes not only physical survival but also human dignity, livelihood, and the right to a clean environment. However, despite this achievement, there are still limitations in human rights protection in Malaysia. This include restrictive law, both old and new, as well as exceptions within the Constitution Act itself. Another major issue is the overlapping power between civil court and Sharia courts, which can cause confusing and affect individual rights. Because of these limitations, human rights in Malaysia are still influenced by politics and culture rather than full justice. The group most affected are minorities and marginalized communities who often face unfair treatment. In conclusions, although Malaysia has made significant progress in protecting human rights through the constitution and the judiciary, there is still room for improvement to ensure that justice and human rights are fully enjoyed by all members of society. Okay, next, the current practice related to the constitution's rights. First, there has been a positive change in the court. Judges are now more open and progressive when interpreting the federal constitutions. Instead of reading the law too strictly, they aim to expand people's rights, especially in areas such as freedom of speech, and they try to align decisions with global human rights standards. However, there are still gaps in the law. Some modern rights, like the right to health and the right to privacy, are not clearly recognized as separate constitution right. Because of this, people may find it difficult to claim this right in court. Lastly, even when a right assist implementation is unequal, high legal costs, low public awareness, and weak institutions make access to justice harder, especially for poor or less educated individuals.
Hi, my name is Nuraina binti Ibrahim. My matric number is 299333. I will continue with conflict between the right to freedom of expression and society's sensitivity towards religion. In Malaysia, freedom of expression sometimes clash with religious and moral sensitivity. This is one of the human rights challenge in the country. Article 10(1)(a) gives every citizen the right to speak and express opinions, but this right is limited to protect security, public order, and morality. Article 10(2)(a) allows Parliament to set restrictions when needed. Malaysia tries to balance free speech with religious and social harmony. Section Act 1948. This law controls speech that may cause hardship or conflict between race or religions. It is meant to keep national stability, but sometimes it criticized for silencing opinions. Penal Code Sections 298A. This section provides speech or actions that create hardship between religions. It protects religious harmony, but also limit expression if used too broadly. In conclusion, there is a constant balance between freedom of speech and respect for religion. The goal is to protect both human rights and social harmony. Next, I will continue with case study of film Mentega Terbang. Okay, Mentega Terbang is a controversial Malaysian indie film produced by Tan Man Khan. The film tells the story of Aisyah, a 50 years old Muslim girl who is terminally ill and questions life, death, and religion. Some things were viewed as contradicting Islamic teachings, which is Aqidah, and the way of life of Muslims in Malaysia. The Department of Islamic Development Malaysia, JAKIM, reviewed the film and said that it goes against Islamic belief. The movie gained public attention due to its sensitive interfaith topic. Authorized investigate the film under Communication and Multimedia Act 1998, Section 298A of the Penal Code. The High Court refused the producer's application for judicial review in January 2025, stating that the investigation was lawful and aimed to maintain public order. For the main issue, the case shows that freedom of expression in Malaysia is limited when it conflicts with religious sensitivity. The Sedition Act 1948 and Section 298A are often seen as being over-applied, which restricts creativity and open discussions. In conclusion, the debate between freedom of expression and religious sensitivity should be handled fairly. Malaysia should respect both religious belief and people's right to express opinions as guaranteed under Article 10 of the Federal Constitution. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Wan Azamina binti Wan Abdullah. My number matric 300365. I will continue the presentation by explaining the SWOT analysis. This SWOT analysis have explaining about strength, weaknesses, opportunity and threat related to the conflict between freedom of expression and religious sensitivity in Malaysia. By looking at this factor, we can better understand how the Malaysian government try to protect individual rights while maintaining social peace and harmony. Article 10(1)(a) of the Federal Constitution guarantee freedom of speech, assembly and expression. This showed Malaysia's commitment to democracy and human rights. Several institutions have ensured that this freedom is used responsibly. So I can advise the government on human rights issue by the judiciary ensure that freedom of expression is not misused in way that could disturb public order or social harmony. In addition, the Department of Mufti provide guidance based on Islamic teaching so that public expression remain in line with Islamic moral value which are important in Malaysian society. However, laws such as the Sedition Act 1948 and Section 298A of the Penal Code are often criticized for being unclear and too broad. Because of this, they can misuse and may cause people to censor themselves out of fear. Many citizens also do not fully understand the limit and responsibility of freedom of speech, especially on social media where message can be easily misunderstood. These misunderstandings can increase ethnic or religious tension and may lead to conflict. There are also challenges in how these laws are interpreted and enforced by both authority and the public. To address the issue, public education should be strengthened. School and university should teach human rights education to help people understand how to express their view responsibly and respectfully. Media and technology, especially social media, can also be used to promote interfaith dialogue, ethical communication and correct information. At the same time, legal reform are need to review laws such as Sedition Act 1948 and Section 298A so that they reflect modern democratic value. This reform should involve public discussion and be carried out in a transparent way to gain public trust. Lastly, abuse of freedom of speech can lead to ethnic and religious tension in Malaysia's multicultural society, as shown by the controversy of the film Mata Terbang. Political interference can be worse the situation where the group are divided between supporting free speech and protecting religious value. If not controlled, misuse of speech and political manipulation can cause social instability by weakening trust and harmony among different communities.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Today I will share some simple suggestions on how we can handle sensitive issues, especially those related to race and religion, in a more fair and peaceful way. First, our current law like the Sedition Act 1948 and Section 298A are often seen as too broad. Sometimes they are misused and this can stop people from giving honest opinion or creating arts. So we need some reforms. Instead of focusing on punishment, we should move toward a more educational approach. We should also clearly define what is considered as religious insult and what is actually hate speech, so we don't punish people unfairly. One possible solution is to update the Sedition Act with a new Harmonious Expression Act. This new act would focus more on dialogue, mediation and education rather than punishment. Another idea is to create an independent content review board. This board, made up of legal experts, religious scholars and civil society members, will help review sensitive content before it released. Next, we need to focus on public education and awareness. Schools and universities should teach more about human rights and interfaith understanding. This will help students to learn respect, tolerance and responsible communication. We can also run public awareness campaign. The government, NGO and media can work together to educate people about their rights like freedom of speech while also encouraging responsible and respectful dialogue. And another important step is training for professionals such as journalists, filmmakers and content creators. This workshop can help them to communicate in a sensitive and ethical way, especially when dealing with race or religion. The goal is to create content that bring people together, not to divide them. Next, for the last section, let's talk about media and creative expression. In Malaysia, we have seen examples like the film Mentega Terbang that sparked different reaction. Some viewers felt offended while other viewers saw it as art. This shows that why we need the balanced creativity with cultural and religious sensitivity. The government can help by supporting positive storytelling. For example, they can offer incentive for films that promote unity and understanding among communities. We also need better ethical guidelines, especially for filmmakers. FINAS can help by giving clearer rules on on how to handle sensitive issues. Filmmakers should also consult with cultural and religious experts when needed to avoid misunderstanding. Finally, we should encourage open dialogue. After release sensitive film, we can organize a public discussion where filmmakers, religious leaders, and audience can talk openly. This helps reduce confusion, and prevents anger or hostility. For conclusion, by improving our laws, education the public, and guiding the media, we can create a society that is expressive, respectful, and harmonious. That's all from me. Thank you.
To conclude, while the Federal Constitution serves as the supreme legal foundation for protecting fundamental liberties, these rights are frequently challenged by repressive laws and the ongoing tension between civil and Sharia law. To strengthen human rights in Malaysia, it is essential to reform outdated legislation, maintain a careful balance between religious principles and universal rights, and increase public awareness to ensure better oversight by bodies like Suhakam and the judiciary. That's all from our group. Thank you.